Hello, and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. Yeah, strong performance today. Overall, good reaction in the last few days to our support region here, and the market could indeed be on its way to that 73,880 level, which we talked about in recent days, also in the last video. Just want to start again on the daily time frame again to give people perspective, because the market is pushing towards that trend line here, highlighted in red around 68,200. And overall, the market is following that preferred bullish scenario at the moment. Again, as I said before, probabilities were quite balanced and are still preferred and still prefer a bullish resolution to this, which means that as long as we're holding on the daily chart, this trend reversal area, this support area, I prefer higher prices. And the market is currently following that analysis. It's respecting that analysis. The risk of another dip into this support area on the daily isn't gone, but certainly it may, gets a little bit less likely with that push today, but this could still be a corrective rally. So again, if anybody entered here in that support area, just understand we could very well dip back into support. Last week, I provided for our members 4 ideas how to trade Bitcoin, right? There was no short trade setup, but we had a long trade setup. And just to show you here on Discord, that was one of the updates I sent through as an announcement to our members, to everybody on Discord. That update was on the 8th of October, right? And the idea was that, here, I can make that a bit larger. There were 4 setups, so I don't want to talk about them all in detail. But the first setup was here, this AB setup. Okay, so basically a long trade setup. It was all described there as well. But basically a long trade setup from this support region, which worked out nicely. Okay, again, as I always say, and everybody should know, the microstructures are not so important, the levels are. But even here, the microstructures were followed nicely. The price dipped into support, even below the A wave low, and then rallied. Now it's now unfolding. So successful AB setup. That was the first setup on this list that was being tested. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because if we are indeed now following this pathway higher in 5 waves in this preferred scenario on the chart, again, the yellow scenario, short-term bearish, is the alternative, reduced even in likelihood now with that strong push to the upside. But even for this, we would have a setup down here should the price get into that lower pivot. But that's not at the moment the focus. No, indeed, we are now probably moving up towards that blue target area, possibly even to 74K. But the point is, once we get all 5 waves completed in circle 1, that wave 2 could be the next decent setup, swing trade setup for swing traders. I mean, if you're trading the, intraday or whatever, you have your own plan, everything. But these were sort of just my ideas for setups suitable for, I would say, most people who just want a casual, sort of trading approach. And noticeably that there's no short trade setup for a good reason, because there's no short trade setup. Okay, so but only long trade setups here, and this one worked out nicely. But now we need to follow through the microstructure on the smaller time frame. So I just wanted to explain to you the next, let's say, fairly clear setup. I mean, you can trade anything, right? But the next fairly clear setup would be after all 5 waves in circle 1 are complete, the pullback in circle 2. Where exactly it's going to land at this stage, not very clear. Okay, so if you're interested in updates like these, you can check out our membership options. Links are in the description. But overall, I want to now move over to the shorter time frame chart. And no, that's Turbo ETH. Oh dear. By the way, also ETH, just following here the upside structure, reacted to support. That support zone on the daily chart. But hey, this is not an ETH video. I probably need to open the BTC short term. Just sort of closed it probably accidentally. So yeah, exciting day, interesting day. Emotions run high again. But actually the market is respecting the support levels. Okay, so we've seen from that possible B wave low on the 10th of October what I consider a 3-wave move up only. But as I said, this is a pretty unclear wave structure. So from my point of view, only 3 waves. Then we said maybe this is wave 4 and we get one more high in wave 5. That was one idea. The other idea was maybe wave 1 is already in and wave 2 is already in and we're already in the third wave. But in both counts, the overall focus was on higher. And now that fifth wave of 1, however, is quite extended. So a pullback in wave 2 is now due, okay, but doesn't mean it has to show. So it's simply a pivot. And as I said, if the price pushes above 65,728, it will become more likely that the third wave is already unfolding. The market isn't giving us that answer, right, until it really pushes a little higher. But we've already slightly pushed above that pivot. Now, the possibility of a wave 2 pullback is still there, but there hasn't been any confirmation that it started. So therefore, it is very much likely we're already in the third wave, but I'm still watching for a possible wave 2. I'm not predicting one, I'm watching for one, which means the support area is still relevant, but a support is not a target. So it's between 60,400 and 63,235. What does it mean? It means if there is another pullback, this support area is the risk area. It's pretty much at the moment the risk area. Then 60,400 is the key risk level, which means now risk is high, right? Doesn't mean we have to go down and test that area. It just means that as long as we're holding it, there is a potential for a wave 2. And that means it could still happen easily, right? And it means that if it happens from here and we break down, then below 60,400, the lower support can offer some support, but it would not be the same structure anymore. We would then morph into the green one, which is still part of the overall bullish scenario, as I just showed you on the daily chart. Just means the lower support area can be tested again, which means that anybody who entered based on the setup I provided, just note the risk is now high. Okay, so that, and that is where you have to manage your risk just individually. I can't do that for you. I just can only give you the levels. And I just want to highlight, we are now approaching here, obviously, these trend lines, these previous trend lines, which could act as resistance. If we get to 68,740, then it is already the third wave. That is the first ideal target for a third. So we say wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 should get minimally to the 138% extension and then get a wave 4 and 5. Okay, so that's sort of how I see this at the moment, which means the trend is still up. No confirmation a wave 2 is started. Could still happen. Watch for it. Don't necessarily trade for it. I would not go short here because there is no short trade setup right now. All right. So we always need a setup. What is an Elliott Wave short trade setup? Well, ideally an A wave down, a B wave up, and then the C wave down can be shorted. If you short now, you're just shorting into an active uptrend. Now you can do that. That's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just letting you know there is no clear Elliott Wave short trade setup. I'm also letting you know that the wave 5 is now very extended. So it's really overdue, that pullback in this structure, but we don't need to get that pullback. There's only a potential for one. Could very well be we're already in the third wave. This is where the levels and the larger time frame, they are more important than the microstructures. Okay, so that's the update at the moment about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching.